Hello everyone, it's Rachel here at Clarty Hands Crafts, and today I am going to be making a new journal cover using this old cover from a diary. As you can see, 2023, we're done. So we're coming into 2024, so I've got a new one and I'm going to try and use as much junk as I can in my journals from now on, because why spend money when you don't need to? Look, this is perfectly good mount board that we can be using. So I am going to need another piece for the spine. What I found was this piece of fabric, which has already been cut for a journal cover, and it is an A5 size one, so it fits this perfectly. But what I do need is a spine piece, so I'm going to cut a piece just from some scraps that I've got left of the mount board that I usually use. It is a bit thinner than this, so I'm hoping that that's not going to make too much of a difference. It's also slightly smaller, but I can't see that being a problem really. We're just going to have some kind of baggy bit at the top. So what I'll do now is cut that down. But first I need to measure. Oh, it's a 5 centimetre gap. Right, so if I do 4.5, I'm going to cut that at the 4.5 centimetre mark. So while I've got those in position, this one's self-adhesive, so that'll make it a bit easier to align things. I was going to say I need to get some more of this stuff, but as I am avoiding buying too many new things to make my junk journals with, I will be using what I've got first of all. Right, does that look okay? I hope so. So now I'm going to stick down these ones, and I'm hoping they're going to stick because they are shiny. So I got some new little fine applicator bottles, and I'm finding them quite nice. I had been just using the, what do you call it? Well, you've seen my videos, you know, the ones that I usually use. But I just found that it kept getting clogged up. So I thought these might be a bit better. I'm using the same glue. It'll come to me what it's called. I can't remember at this moment in time. I'm not going to put too much glue on because I really don't think it's going to make much of a difference with sticking on this shiny stuff. I think it'll just peel right off, given half a chance. There is probably a better way of doing it. But I do like to make things a bit more difficult for myself at times. Right, I think I've done it slightly wonky so that this line isn't completely straight. But we'll soon find out whether it's going to work or not. That one's down. And then the front one. Goodbye 2023. Hope everyone's had a nice Christmas and New Year, or holiday season, whatever you like to call it. We've had a nice one. It's been quite peaceful actually. It was nice because I started working in a primary school. It's nice to get involved in all of the Christmassy activities in a school. So I've been enjoying my time. Right, so this paper is matte, and I'm hoping that that's going to stick these edge bits down nice and firmly. Right, so I am going to have that tiny little piece there that's not got any board in. And And I am planning on having some book corners in this. So it's going to cover up these edges. I don't usually cut these now. So you know how I had those cut at diagonals? I normally just fold the diagonal over and then fold the edges up. But that probably doesn't make much sense to you, but instead of cutting them off, I just fold them in, and then that means that the corner bits are completely covered, because I don't like this where you get a little gap. I haven't perfected my technique with wrapping them round. But since this piece was already cut, waste not, want not, and we'll get that used. That feels okay, and then I'm going to cover that centre piece as well, and we'll use, here's a scrap, it doesn't match, it's not been ironed, and I don't care, quite frankly. My son was using my fabric scissors the other day to open plastic packaging. So I think they are pretty much gone and done. He didn't know. So he wasn't in trouble, but it's one of those things, isn't it? You get possessive? No, yeah, I guess so. Over fabric scissors and things like that you use for specific jobs. Never mind. I do have some others actually, so I'm just being silly really. My other ones are the better ones. I have some that I use for actual sewing, and then I have some that I use for cutting pieces of fabric in my journals. So it was just the journal ones that he'd used. Nice and soft, this must be cotton. I'm using my bone folder just to find those creases and guide the fabric into it rather than it bunching up. Now what I wanted to try and do is to cut a window. I'm going to do a square shape of some sort. I should have done this before I covered with fabric. Never mind. 3.5 centimetres from that end, 3.5 centimetres from that end. And I'll just use a pencil, I think. Now I am going to cover this again. So it doesn't matter if I've got pencil marks. And then this way, I can just do it wherever, as long as it's central. From the edges. I don't think it matters so much top to bottom. Right. So I'm going to have to cut through fabric now, as well as the board. That's quite sweet, that. Gonna have that all this fabric, which is going to be going over the top, and then behind the window I want to have some kind of layered focal point. I've got this, in fact I might centralise that completely, that doily. That's nice. And then have that on a jaunty angle. Have a ticket which will be cut properly. Could do that. Might be layered over the front. I quite like the edge on that. Turn it that way, leave a little edge hanging out, something like that. Compass behind. Tickets on front. And I'm going to end up with this. Same some kind of words. Right, I don't think I need that. It's too pale. What else did I have? I've got this charm which will be going on the outside, so I'm using some of the pinky colours. So that's why I had her pulled out. I did have something else, another card with some pink flowers on. So I'm just looking for that right now. Oh, that was nice as well. Oh, there it is. What do you think? Is that a waste of a doily? See if I can take that out and just use that normal plain postcard. Carte postale. Can you see that it's the Eiffel Tower still? I think it's famous enough to be recognisable, isn't it? Right, now is this going to look good still when covered with this fabric? Am I going to need some of this lace over the top? There's our little charm going. I'll have this. Right, that's what I'm going to go for. I'm just going to go for that look. Right, I don't need it to be this fancy paper. There's no reason to use that. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll just take a photograph so that I can remember how I had those laid. That's if I can do it without pushing it all out of place straight away. Okay, so I'm just going to go for that and deal with it. That's it. Right, so the first thing I need to do is cover the cover. So we'll put that face down. We'll pretend that's ironed. Can you tell I am just not in the mood to use the iron today at all? This is going to leave us with some scraps of the same fabric to use throughout the journal, all of these edge bits. So the theme of this journal is going to be around the world in 80 days. And I was inspired by watching the BBC series where the name escapes me, but one of the characters is, they've done it as she's a female reporter instead of a male detective. So this is going to be her journal, and so it's going to be travel themed, but it's going to be feminine and Victorian. So I had intended on doing it as a male one, like a male, sorry, not male, just like a more masculine journal. And it was going to be Phileas Fogg's journal. But just the things that came together when I saw those pinks and I started flowing, that was it. I was just committed to making it her journal. So I must find out her name, the character name. It was a few weeks ago that I watched it, so I've forgotten it now. I have read the book and it's very good. I like a bit of Jules. Do you pronounce the S? Jules Verne or Jules Verne? I'm not sure. Jules. And I'm going to try and not be too straight and clean with everything that I do, because I really like the look of tatty journals and I just can't seem to make myself do things messily. I have a messy approach, but things always turn out quite neat and tidy and straight. It's just the way I do things. So my mission throughout this journal is to make it tattier. It's a strange goal, but you guys will understand what I mean by that. And I can already see that I'm going to cover all these tatty edges. It's just what I do. Do it neatly. I am excited to see how it turns out. It's one thing that I love is when the ideas just start coming. You pick up some pieces and you think, yes, they look good together, and then you just roll with it and see where it takes you. It's nothing like the idea that I originally had in mind, but I'm sure it'll just be just as good. Right, I haven't forgotten about the window. I've got an idea of the way that I'm going to do that, and then we'll have the lace on the outside as well. My lovely lace, which gets used all the time. Right, so I'm going to repeat the same process and fold those edges in. Actually, I might make them a bit. See if I can do it while I just hold it like that. And then I'm overlapping that with the edge of the other fabric on purpose, so that when I put my book papers in, my cover papers, they're going to it's going to make it blend a bit more. And there won't be such a chunky drop off where the fabric finishes under the paper. looks about ready to go as it is. Right, so we'll do the same again. I'm going to stick the corners down first. These corners are going to be quite bulky because we've got about 6 layers. Under there. I've just realised that with that layer of fabric I didn't glue that to the front, did I? I only glued around the edges, which it should be fine. I mean, as I say, I don't think the bottom layer was going to stick at all to that shiny stuff, but as long as it sticks to this side it should be okay, and that goes for the other layers as well. Okay, so this is dry enough now, it's staying stuck down. So I've got my window here, and what I'm going to do is make a cross, well, cut a cross rather. Let's do a light pencil line. And then I want to cut that. I'm thinking tiny scissors might be the thing for the job. If I can just use my knife to start off. Just because I don't want the fabric getting too dragged and misshapen. So I'm going to cut up to the corners. If you see easier ways of doing anything that I try, then please comment below and help other people, because I don't always have the best logic skills, so sometimes I miss the best way of doing things. So if you share, then everybody can benefit from what is obvious to some people and not so much to the rest of us. Right, so we're going to fold those around and glue them into place as well. And I think we'll cut the points. Use some larger scissors. Cut the points off so that we don't have them coming off the edge here. But if I do one, I'm going to do them all. That was unnecessary. So remember to do both layers if they aren't already stuck together. I'm going to use this to weigh it down. Actually, I'll use the large one because it's heavier. I've got this piece of newspaper print scrapbooking paper, and it's in French, so that goes with the theme quite nicely. So this is going to go there like that. Then I'm going to put my bits and bobs, so I'm just going to ink these. Alright, and then it's a case of just placing everything where I want it to be. So I had that somewhere around there, that somewhere around there, that coming into there, is that okay, do you think? And then of course we've got the lace which is going to go around the edge. Then a ticket. Okay. Let's stick this lace down. Do we want to overlap in that way? No, I think that way is fine. I'm hoping this is going to stick. Right, we'll see how well that stays. Need extra glue at some point. Right, so I've just wrecked that. Oh, that was a good guess. Okay, we want those there. So I'm just going to press that down. And we'll stick a little blob of glue. Right. And then I'll add some more bits of glue now that I've got them in place. It's wherever I can fit it. So I just want it to be nice and secure. Right, so that's where I want it. I'll just go around the frame. Then it should be enough to catch the picture. So that I can press it down. Right, that doesn't matter anyway. So I've got a tiny little hole there. That doesn't matter. So it's going to be covered with my inset pages. Hopefully that will be enough glue. Hold everything down. Well, I said I wanted things to be tattier anyway, didn't I? And I think I've achieved that, if nothing else. Although that side still looks quite neat. I just remembered that plate thing. So if we have something like that, just trying to make Nice and balanced. Still drawn to having the flowers at that side. What do you think? Flowers there, ticket there, don't want it behind the lace or over the corner. I think I want that to be over the corner like that, so it makes it kind of more 3D. Let's just do it. And then weigh it down again. I need some weights to hold things down. And then, hoping I'll be able to make this stick. Can you still see what I'm doing there? Only just. I'm just going to stick that Discover sign down the bottom. Try and make it central. Come on, glue, stop complaining. We're nearly done. So that's where the edge of the page is, so if I put that there, should be about right. Now I am going to use some book corners, and they will be brass, so I just want to make sure they don't clash too badly with that kind of pewter stuff. It does clash, but at this moment in time I don't really care. Now we have some little sticky pads that have lost their stick, so I'm going to glue those. Look at all this. I'm going to put glue on there even though I'm not convinced it's going to have any contact with the fabric. But we'll see. We'll live and learn, won't we? We'll see what works. I'm also going to add some distress ink to the edges and the creases, just to give it more of a border and make it all look a bit tied together. So apart from the dodgy book corners, it's looking quite nice. So I'm going to put some extra glue dotted around to just make sure everything's really secure, because I'm not convinced that these things are going to last. But I'll secure those down. But this is what it's going to look like. So we've got a nice depth between the window there, and I think that really adds something to the cover. Just makes it a bit more interesting than the ones that I've done before. And then when you open it up inside, it just looks the same as a normal journal page, a normal journal inside cover. So I'm going to call that done for now. I will be doing something with those corners because I can't leave them like that not if I sell it anyway, so but I'll fix that up. And then there's another idea for you if you're interested in doing a window journal. I do feel like it was quite hard work, but I think it's because of the thickness of the mount board that I used, because it was that old diary cover. So I will see you again next time. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.